Greetings everyone, my name is Adderville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Maker. In this evening livestream, I'll be covering the level pack Mega Man X Signal of Sigma by TopSecretYoshi, which was designed by the Mega Man X mod, or rather, the Mega Maker X mod, as you can tell from the different intro and whatnot. Let me know if I should decrease the volume further. It's a bit louder than usual. I'll try covering at least all the Mavericks up to that, but we'll see how far we can go. So let's begin with the intro stage. 64 plays and a score of 25. I did play the intro stage a while back, but for the sake of continuity, I'll showcase it during this level pack. So hey Pixel Boy, Jaden, YouTube, and all the other watchers. Glad you could make it. Let me know if I should decrease the volume further. Oh, I remember doing this as 0, I think. This was a lot harder. No longer do I have to worry about the machine gun in front. It's a shame we don't have life upgrades though. That'll be a lot harder to add, however. Keep it this way? Alright. So as I was saying, tomorrow morning is Saints Row the 4th, and technically tomorrow afternoon I will be doing a multiplayer stream with Mega Team Up of Chivalry 2. As for plans this following week in terms of videos, well, there's gonna be part 2 of Lunar Lux, followed by Ratopia. Wait a sec. Gotcha. I thought I heard something. He's making the sound effect. I was wondering. Alright, that was the intro stage. Now we have a selection of 8 Mavericks. From the top, Saw Beetle, Crystal Seal, Toxic Toad, Marine Whale, Rock Tortoise, Electroram, Tornado Sparrow, and Blaze Jackal. I'm gonna roll the die, and the winner is... Rock Tortoise, 38 plays, score 15. Andrew. Sure, I'm gonna swap between characters between each of the stages. And we can also see the maps of it early. FYI, I am not accepting any level IDs tonight. I'm only gonna be showcasing this level pack, that's all. So all IDs submitted tonight will be ignored. Sure, I can do McWhalen next, probably. As I was saying, in terms of schedule, Monday will be the release of part 2 of Lunar Lux, Tuesday is gonna be Ratopia, hopefully. Wednesday, Mid-Force. Thursday is gonna be another Mega Man Maker earlier release. And Friday is probably gonna be the next episode of Bat Boy. After all, that LP is still somewhat in hiatus due to the Next Fest. I do want to finish it, it only has 4 episodes left. And one of those episodes isn't going to be that long either. Darn, I can't get in. Alright, true. I mean, of all the things I had criticisms for Bat Boy, music's fine, it's not as memorable as Shovel Knight. I'm not going to compare it exactly to Smelter because not the same development team, oh my goodness, that was close. I think a better comparison would be Sammy. If we're comparing it with Super Sammy Roll, then yeah, definitely not as memorable as that game. I like the Sammy Roll soundtrack more than this one. Oh, I can't... Can't double jump. Oops, wait, I need you. I'm back. Bingo. As I was saying, I have more than just the problems with the music. Well, I guess... Wait a sec. No. Let me get to a safer spot. This is actually iterating on mechanics, so I have to pay attention. Lest I perish. No difference. Aw, this is... Oh, okay. It's only Stone Man, so that's not really a problem. GG. Easy. And I got... Rock Orbit. Training screen. Yeah, I kind of expected the stage to go on for 1 or 2 more minutes because it did introduce it at least acceptably, passably. Same with the escalation, but that didn't quite feel like how I do the climax. I would expect like there being 1 or 2 more sections, and the final one would be the climax. It didn't quite reach the proper endpoint. I'm not saying the stage is bad, it just feels like it could have had at least 1 more section to tie up everything. With a bow. Next up is Marine Whale. 25 play, score of 10. Giving everyone turns, so it's Axel's turn. Ah, Bubble Crab. As I was saying, if I were to summarize my main issues with Bat-Boy, it'd be with the graphics, music, and to the greatest extent, the gameplay. Specifically level design. Like, the graphics are fine, but even for an NES-inspired platformer, they could have a bit more pizzazz. Like, they could try cheating a little bit more. Music, we just discussed. Gameplay, well, controls and physics are fine. I don't mind. I like having hidden collectibles and whatnot. But I guess my main issue is that... Oh no. Ah, you saved me there, Explosive. My main issue is that the level design is... in many cases not really that interesting. There are some standouts, like with the time slow in the factory, as well as the whole Manor stage. But it feels like, at least for many of the stages preceding it, gimmicks are introduced, somewhat explored, but not explored to a satisfactory degree. With Shovel Knight, with every stage, you can always expect all the mechanics to be explored to a fun degree. To a sufficiently fun amount, relative to the difficulty. But so far in Bat-Boy, this isn't really the case. This whole thing about exploring mechanics to a very fun amount, it's what separates the okay to decent. It separates the okay and decent versus... It's what separates the okay/decent platformers from the almost good to good ones. To put it another way, Shovel Knight's level design is a lot more polished. At least from watching the playthrough from Rom Ritual. Like, if I were to put Shovel Knight and Bat-Boy head to head, I'll always pick Shovel Knight. Hang on a sec. Okay, thank you for the comment, YouTube. What? I didn't realize that shock absorber. I should have gone the tank. Thought so. I mean, I would call it a Shovel Knight, sort of. The reason why I compare it to Shovel Knight is due to how the graphics follow the limitations of the NES palette and such, but several other games do. It's more like the structure of the game. Like, notice how the map screen works, how the levels progress to each other, how we basically have 8 quote-unquote RMs, or the equivalent of RMs. Like, okay, if it just had the 8 different bosses we have to defeat, then okay, that's not similar enough. But the way the level progression fits out combined with that, it just... The thing it reminds the most me of is Shovel Knight. Well, the reason for that is because I think Ferbaz did a better job. That's frankly what I would say. We got Marine Blast. Kaboom! You know, one suggestion I have would be to vary up the weapon get screens, or at least where you test out your weapons so they aren't the same. Hey Top Secret. Yep. In comparison to Rock Tortoise, Marine Whale explored its mechanics even less. It's... I don't know. Well, let's do reverse order a bit. Next up is Electro Ram. 31 play, score of 11. Okay, back to Mega Man X. The weapon I want the most is, of course, the tornado. Wait, Skellboy? Hang on. I'll have to check. I'll have to verify that after this. Like... Hang on a sec. I'll read it to start. Give me a moment. I need to check that. I thought Skellboy was made by Yumaikai Games. Where did you get the mention that Fabraz made Skellboy? What? Fabraz, I know Fabraz made the games, they made Slime Sand. Oh, they're the publishers. Gotcha. I was thinking in terms of developers, because in terms of involvement, I don't really put them in the same category. They were the publishers, probably of the later one, but they didn't develop the game at all. Okay, going back to this. Third up is Electro Ram. Okay, next. Third on the lineup is Electro Ram. 31 plays, score of 11. I'm gonna stick with X for this. Alright, to continue discussion, we're gonna refer to developers for this. We're not gonna refer to publishers. So even though Fabraz published Skellboy Refractured, they didn't develop it, so I don't take that in consideration. And as I was saying, the reason why I'm being harsher on Batboy compared to Demon Turf is simple. Or to simplify it, I think they did a better job with Demon Turf. That's why. I can elaborate on why, but that's basically it. Oh, quick suggestion. When you have screen transitions like this, you should fill in the bottom left part of the screen, so that when you transition you don't just see a blank screen on the left. It's for polish's sake. Again, the reason why I compare a Batboy to Shovel Knight is also because it has similar level design philosophies. Like, the levels are fairly tightly structured. There are side paths, yes, and some levels are more open than others, see the Manor stage, which is more non-linear, and similar level progression. Demon Turf, even if we ignore the fact it's a 3D platformer, it has a far more open level design. Like, sure, you do need to get from start to finish, but there's little, if any, invisible walls, and there are many ways to get there, and you open up more and more avenues of getting there as you unlock more abilities. That's why a straight comparison with them won't exactly work. I mean, even with the jank and even with the roughness present in Demon's Turf, I still think it did a decent job. At least it had a consistent level of roughness. Cow 2022 is kind of an interesting case. Demon Turf, although I'd say it's rough, it has a consistent level of roughness. Whereas with Cow 2022, when it's polished, it's a lot. When it is polished, it's level polished. What am I saying? Let me rephrase it. At its best, Cow 2022's level of polish is better than Demon's Turf, but when it isn't, it's worse. And some of the things it lacks polish in are fairly obvious. We saw the music looping issues, some of the sound effects not playing, the voice acting being a little bit desynced, all the invisible walls, sometimes in illogical locations, when it could have just corrected the terrain itself. Like, I understand having invisible walls, but in several situations in Cow or KO, they really should have just extended the terrain. Precisely. They wanted to railroad players, but again, they could have done it a bit more naturally. I get some situations where you can't do that, but please, folks. I mean, to the developers, you can do better. And comparing that to Demon's Turf, well, if Fabraz made Cow 2022, pretty much almost every single instance of an invisible wall would not be present. Like, the way Fabraz handles level design is a lot more open-ended, so it's like, here's a moveset, here's where you need to go to, good luck. This is also part of the reason why they gave you the option of placing 3 or 4 checkpoints wherever you like. My aim is terrible. What's new? Incredible, I missed the one thing I was supposed to hit. Ah, poor sheepy. You're made kind of into a joke if you can wall climb. We got electric cloud. Yeah, I would like if you can vary up the terrain here. Precisely. I'm also kind of too short, it didn't explore its mechanics enough. I'll explain what I'm talking about top secret. But let me finish all the Maverick stages first, or at least half of them. Board up is Saw Beetle, 51 plays, score of 19. Here's the thing. Even when Nintendo let me phrase it. Here's the thing. Nintendo does railroad the player sometimes. The thing is though, they do it naturally. Or at the very least, they make it really difficult to get off the intended route. As I was saying, there are numerous ways to keep players on the intended route without having to use invisible walls. Or using very obviously placed walls too. You can use naturalistic environments, you can use pickups, you can place enemies in a certain pattern, you can make one-way paths, etc, etc. The important thing is, when you're railroading a player, or trying to, one of the most important things is to make it not obvious. or to downplay how obvious it is, or to make players think that, this is the best way to go. In other words, let me rephrase it. If you're gonna railroad a player and Nintendo understands it, you're gonna try de-emphasizing how obvious the railroading is. Oh sure, it can be obvious in a few spots, see for example, literal railcart sections. But walking normally, don't make it obvious. Even I don't mind railroading from time to time. Of course, it also depends on what genre you're going for. Like, if you're playing an open world game or a Metroidvania, actually let me rephrase, sorry for all the rephrasings. It depends on which genre you're playing in and how open it's intended to be. Like, I frown a lot more on railroading when it's in an open world game, and to a lesser extent Metroidvanias. Now, if it's a fully linear narrative experience, like certain action-adventure games like Uncharted, then I complain a lot less. Oh my goodness. The main gimmick here is mainly all these spinies, really. The spine analogs. And going up and down these trees. Okay, I thought there was gonna be a bed of spikes down here. That's it? What? That felt really short. Like, it should have been at least 1 or 2 minutes longer. And of all the stages, this is the most just existed. Like, I think the main gimmick was climbing up and down these trees inside, hollowed out by all the saw blades and spinies, but it... uninspired. Hang on. Halfway through the Mavericks. Alright, railroading generally means that you're reducing the number of options for progression to a handful of pre-picked ones, usually 1 or 2, rather than giving players more freedom to explore stuff, or choose their paths. Basically, you're limiting the number of choices down to a very small amount to push players into a unified pattern. Usually indicate... We say railroading because trains have to follow a rail track. They can't go off of it without causing an accident. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but what ends up happening is less experienced or less funded development teams. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but lesser experienced or development teams which don't have the time or budget to do so overuse it, which annoys players to no end, especially if it's a Metroidvania or open world game, or games where quote-unquote choices matter. That's why I was saying that it's best to make it not so obvious, or lack of experience. Speaking of... Now, I'm gonna say railroading... Now I need to clarify something. When I say railroading, it's basically a more extreme instance of more linear game design. Railroading doesn't feel as bad if the game is already very linear. It's a lot more of a problem with the game if the game suddenly goes from being relatively open to relatively closed off, I suppose. Like, I wouldn't call 9 Years of Shadows Progression railroading because even though it's more of a linear Metroidvania, linear-ish, it still gives you multiple routes to go through, and you can still backtrack. And there's also all the secret paths. 9 Years of Shadows world progression, that's much more non-linear. Like, 1 or 2 areas are outright optional. I mean, 1 or 2 biomes or whatever, and you can bypass much of them. Like, it feels like 20 to 25% of the game is optional. Not to mention, there's a whole lot of backtracking if you want all the goodies. It's a scale. Anyways, enough of my ranting. Back to adventure. Or Tent Talk 2. Crystal Seals next on the chopping block. 32 plays and a score of 12, I guess. Why is it ironic, YouTube? It's a rubber... He's weak to a rubber ball. And the rubber balls don't conduct electricity. That makes sense to me. Rubber does not conduct electricity well. Mega Man is one of those more open-ended linear games, in the sense that after you start up the game and maybe complete an intro stage if you're playing 7, 8, and base 1 or 2, you have a choice of 8 stages to go through in any order you please before the Fortress levels. Not to mention, you may have 1 to 8 extra special weapons and other goodies on top of it, which can drastically impact how you go through the stages, making them much easier or more difficult. And even if the stages are completely linear with no optional routes or optional pathways for extra goodies or even optional challenges, you still have all those special weapons to play with that can drastically impact your experience. This is one way to attain more open-ended level design, giving the player more options to tackle the challenges. One way to make it more open is to just make the levels more open, give more side routes, give optional routes, make it very non-linear. Another way is to give the players more options on how to tackle the terrain and enemy-based challenges. Like give them more moves, abilities, etc, etc. Metroidvanias usually make use of both. Gal Guardians is not a Metroidvania. I don't know why some people... well, I can see why. It's more like the classic Vania games. Oops. You got soft lock? We're able to resume from a checkpoint. I mean, I got hit by a rubber ball by myself. It bounced off the wall back onto me. It wasn't really painful. If anything, I wouldn't expect Gal Guardians to have much backtracking at all. Oh yeah, that's something else in Mega Man's open-ended favor. Even if you complete a stage, in many of the Mega Man titles, you can go back and play through it again, even after you defeat the boss. I wish I can carry over the tanks. Alright, what was it doing? Talking about? Alright, this level pack. Okay, sorry about the diatribe on railroading. So I'm gonna railroad the discussion back to this level pack. Okay, this is the 5th RM stage I'm going through, and not RM, Maverick. My bad. And this is one of the better ones. The other better one was Rock Tortoise. I guess my main issue with this pack so far is that for at least 3 of the Maverick levels, oh sure, they have mechanics, gimmicks, something to make them distinct, but they're rarely escalated on, and even if they do, they don't have a satisfactory climax or ending point. Like this, for example, it had an okay introduction and escalation, but it's completely missing an escalation where everything you've learned up to this stage is recombined and put together. Everything meaning the gimmicks, mechanics, and enemies, like tying the end of the stage up in a neat bow. And that's one of the most important aspects of what makes Mega Man, at least the 2D Mega Man games, Mega Man. The choice of what stages to go through, and what order. Classic, X, Zero, ZX, they all give you the option. Ah, you chose to backtrack. Indeed, and it's like a fundamental thing that makes the Mega Man series so distinct, as especially when it was released, most of the 2D NES platformers didn't give you an option to go through the stages in a random order, in whatever order you choose. They may give you a choice between 2 or 3, but not 8. Even in the SNES era, with the X series. Well, when we got to the X series, it did start flirting more with Metroidvania design and backtracking, with the armor part systems in the X. Victory. Okay, we got something snow. Crystal snow. I'm kinda surprised that Gal Guardians allows you to backtrack like that. Well, I guess replaying through stages, perhaps. It doesn't seem like it fit a game like it. But yeah, it's more hilarious or annoying, take your pick, when an open world game throws a conniption when you decide to do things out of the intended path or order. Sixth Maverick on the chopping block is the Sparrow. 33 play, score of 10. Alright, it isn't. I'm guessing they go after rock because many of the rock-based RMs in the Mega Man series are some of the easiest RMs to fight. Or easier. Mega Man 7 and 8 took that Mega Man 7, 8, and Mega Man and Base took that restriction from the Game Boy games. Now, I didn't talk about the downside of making more open-ended level design. and that's more difficult balancing. Like, if you have a completely linear level order, level progression and difficulty progression becomes a bit... Inter-level difficulty progression becomes a lot easier to manage. Level 2 can be harder than level 1, level 3 can be harder than level 2, etc, etc. And you can assume that the players already understand and learned everything for level 1, and you can iterate on it in level 2. You can iterate on the stuff you learned in level 1, level 2, the stuff in level 2 and level 3, etc, etc. But when you have a choice of 4-8 levels, then... uh-oh, what do you do? For Mega Man... In the Mega Man series, what they do is that they assume that each Maverick stage, or... not Maverick... At least for Mega Man Classic, what they do is that they assume that every RM stage you go through is your first, or second, I suppose. So they try to make it even in terms of difficulty. I say try to, or at least for 6 or 7 of them try to. At least for half of them, maybe. I'm changing the number because I realized that, after a while, Capcom clearly makes some ARM stages a lot easier than the others. But ideally, you want to make the stages roughly the same difficulty, at least half of them, but make them difficult in different ways. Some players will find some stages more difficult than others due to what is demanded of them. Ruin the game. Is the soft lock persisting in your save file? If that's the case, oh, that sucks. Haha, don't need to use the fan. If it persists through the save file, ouch, I'm sorry. Knowing how linear 9 years was, well, the way I usually handle backtracking is I save the mass backtracking for later. Oh sure, I may backtrack in the same area, or an area close to the current one. Depends on how long it takes to backtrack. But if it's a really big area, or it's really far back, I'll just save the backtracking for much later on, once I gain a lot more abilities. Until I'm forced to, at least. That way I won't end up with a situation where I backtrack to an area which I can now access, but once I access that area, I realize that, oh, in order to access the area after that, I need another ability which I don't have yet. Ah, darn. Thanks, Inti. Like I said, I tend to say backtracking for near end game, unless I struggle with a certain area or boss, or I'm forced to backtrack again. Noctis is more rewarding for backtracking because, well, it was built much more heavily with backtracking in mind. The world is far more massive, and it's far more non-linear. Definitely. It's fine, Top Secret. Most level designers try to make the levels roughly the same in terms of difficulty, maybe with 1 or 2 exceptions, so there's a natural difficulty curve, somewhat. But it's very hard to do that. Make 6 or 8 stages which are roughly around the same terms of difficulty with different challenges. Well, as long as you have at least 2 or 3 good starting points, I'm fine. At least for Mega Man games. True, true. Even with the best level designers, it's really difficult to make a bunch of stages which are roughly the same in terms of difficulty and completion time, while having different challenges in them, different mechanics, etc, etc. Heck, try making a stage with 2 routes which are roughly the same in terms of difficulty. That can be really challenging too. It's a combination of lack of experience and the fact that lack of experience and differing player experiences. Not all players will find the same stages as easy or as difficult as the designers do. This is why you tend to prefer to have a bigger playtester base. A big and varied one, ideally. Seventh on the target list is Toxic Toad. Turn to play, score 17. Back to 0 for this one. Well, I got the wind ability. But yeah, practice makes perfect. Well, practice and having proper feedback. That's one of the reasons why I'm playing this, to provide feedback. I know it can be kind of vague because, well, this is my first time playing it, but hopefully all the feedback I'm giving you helps you a bit, even a little bit. After all, practice is for building... After all, in order to practice... It's not exactly practice makes perfect, it's perfect practice makes perfect. Or good enough, I suppose. You practice to build your skill set and for building patterns, but you have to make sure you're building the right patterns and skill sets, or learning the right things. But yeah. So we were discussing railroading, we were discussing open level design. See you, YouTube. That's fine. That adds to replayability. Each character has their own strengths and weaknesses. And if players like a character over another, they can choose them. I think in most of these stages, X is the best character, followed by Axel or Zero. But I'm fine with that. I don't mind characters acting as the equivalent of difficulty options. Oh, certainly. I know I complain a lot about the drop button inputs and other wonky stuff in the engine, but the Mega Maker 1.0, that was a lot rougher and jankier than what you see today. The drop button inputs and lag issues were far, far, far worse. Okay, far worse. Okay, they nailed down the controls a lot. They slowly built up the controls a lot better over time. And with semi-recent major updates, like 1.5, 1.6, they cut down the loading times. And with the last major update of 1.8, they really nailed down the loading times for loading levels. For levels like these, for longer levels like 40, 50 screens long, we used to have to wait at least half a minute before we could actually start the stage. But with a new and improved loading system, now we only gotta wait for 5 to 10 seconds at most. Optimization is a lot better. Okay, going back to us talking about Bat-Boy. Only 4 episodes left. Well, last 2 regular stages, then the 3 optional levels, then the penultimate level, then the final boss plus ending. Hence 4 episodes. I hope. I'll probably do some grinding off screen between the next episode and the episode after that. I think I'll do it off stream because I can better manage the progression. And also during the weekdays I can only really stream right now in the evening, which most people don't attend, so I'd rather pre-record it and release it that way. So last Maverick on the lineup is Blaze Jackal, 35 plus 8. That's plays plus score. Well, we'll see when I can clear it up more. I know I'm gonna make a morning stream slot for Saints Row 4 very soon. Probably after next week, but we'll see. Not to mention there are a bunch of other games on the lineup I got keys for. And before you ask, no, I won't say. Because a lot of them are still up for, maybe, maybe not. Remember, I get a lot of keys. Not all of them I'll actually claim. So, I'm not gonna say anything more than that. And not to mention, 30XX LP is gonna start next month, so... That's gonna be a fun comparison because that's gonna be the closest thing to Mega Man X9 we have right now. Yeah, I thought so. I'll be interested to see how they improve stuff on 20XX. I'm gonna formally conclude my LP of 20XX before that, ideally. Like, show off the boss rush, and then finish the game. As that LP is currently in limbo. Like, for 20XX, right now what's left is the boss rush, and probably challenge mode. I could show off a little bit of endless mode, but that depends on a few factors. Force beams and blocks of Yoku. That's fine. Now that, oh yeah, that's the problem. Alright, this is the most challenging stage so far, and it's one of the better ARMS Maverick stages. Sorry, I've played Mega Man Maker for so long that calling the stages ARMS stages is ingrained in my head. Like, the amount of Mega Man Classic I play relative to Mega Man X is 100 to 1. You know, I think I prefer if there was an advanced warning that, oh no, be careful, force beam. Well, I do see this, okay, I see the sign now. But, I'd prefer if it told me what's going on. Hey, the patio. I mean more clearly. I think this is currently my favorite level, if only because it had the closest thing to a better climax. But still, I should have gone for one more section. We got Blaze Orb. Orb. So that's all the Maverick stages. We might as well do the Sigma Pal stages too. My criticism still stands in the sense that, with the exception of Rock Tortoise and Blaze Jackal and I guess a little bit of one other Maverick stage, they don't really feel memorable or make sufficient use of their mechanics and gimmicks. They're introduced, escalate a little bit, but they don't have a climax where everything is put together. Like, almost every stage should have at least one or two more sections, or in the case of Saw Beetle, it feels like half the stage is missing, and the first half wasn't really building up to anything. Alright, be right back in a moment, then we're going on to Sigma Nightmare. And I've returned. Seeing as I completed all the Maverick stages and the intro stage within an hour, let's finish the rest of the pack tonight. So, moving on to Sigma Nightmare, with 42 plays and a score of 7. It's time to take the fight to Sigma, as usual. So first on the lineup of Sigma's Enforcers is of course Vile. Back for round 3 or 4, I suppose. depending on whether this takes place before or after X8. We had Zero Nightmare, now we got Sigma Nightmare. Nightmare as he keeps coming back. Anything else you want to discuss this fine evening? Or morning? Or your time of day currently? The one thing I wish in this pack is if I could carry over E and M tanks. Right now they only persist until the end of the stage. Ooh. Yeah, this pack leaves a lot to be desired. Like, it's meh. If I had to rate it right now, it's meh. Yeah. Okay, I was worried about it. I don't think the gravity gimmicks have been introduced to the X mod yet either. I can imagine a lot of fun scenarios making use of wall kicking in this, and air dashing. Cable Boy. The LP is technically done, but there is some of the bonus content. I already made peace with the fact that I will not be able to get through some of the bonus areas, because oh my goodness, they're Kaizo. Straight up full-on Kaizo. Much harder than the patio stuff. I say that because I saw a playthrough of some of those other areas and oh my goodness. I'll at least try going for the other ending, but we'll see. The not-so-secret ending. And of course, I do want to show off the other area. The new area that was added in the last update. When I say last update, I mean several years ago. Oh, almost made it. I don't know much harder than Celeste's later stuff. Are you referring to the Celeste Seasides? If you're referring to the Seasides, then about as difficult, if not harder. The thing is though, well, I would say it's about as hard, if not, yeah, about as hard. And the thing is, Cable Boy is more of a momentum platformer, so that's gonna cause more problems too. Ah, that's where you need to go to. What's here? That's fine. I mean, if you get a full refill, just bum rush right through it. Have I played Gravity Circuit? Nope, not yet. Looks cool though. I'm happy they made a spiritual successor to Extreme, Mega Man Extreme. Like, the way it's designed, it looks kind of like a combination... The way it's designed and plays, it feels like a combination of classic X and Zero. It does. Welcome. I mean... Okay, hey Val. It's been a while since I last fought you. Ah, that's fair. Can't reach me! explode. Nice. It should be more than just one. It should be more than just one character. It should be more than based on one character. Second up is Nightmare 2. 28 plays, score 7. I should just say Nightmare 2, really. I wish we can get some armor upgrades here, but same thing as before. Well, actually, yeah, this pack could have armor upgrades if you say something like you. This pack could do something like this. Every stage has a key hidden in it, and if you collect all 4 or 8 keys, you get an armor upgrade. Oh good, I got double jumping back. So there's that. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider? That looks cool. As I was saying, with Gal Guardians, in regards to that, it shouldn't just be one character, which is the most reason you want to replay it. It should be gameplay. It has replayability, and makes it so players have to pay more attention to your stage design. Also allows you to pull out some harder tricks on the optional routes. Oh, that was a bit... X-Hunter stage? Oh, return of the distracting background. Just let me get me in. Thank you to everyone still watching. Oh no, whoa! Ice physics and all that. Okay. I'm not really saying much because I've run out of things to say about this. What? Excuse me? How did it pierce his iframes? I don't know what happened there. For some reason, using the Thunderbolt completely pierced through his iframes. Like, I expected that to be a weakness, but... well... Putting that aside, Sigma Nightmare Tree, 26 plays, score 7. I don't really have as much of an issue with the screen transitions. I have much more issue with the backgrounds being a bit too distracting. Like, it's fine seeing the corruption, but it gets distracting and can become a bit difficult determining what's going on in the foreground. This is not the worst instance of this, however. We've seen worse. It's like this. It's especially the case with this 8-bit demade version. I don't remember it being this bad in Mega Man X5. Although maybe it was, it's just my memory thinking otherwise. Well, I'm happy to see that the mechanics from the previous stages are making returns. So at least there's that luxury. Oh, you. Hang on. Splendid. Exactly how I expected it to turn out. Sailing right above my head. Rematches? Rematches. Yeah, thought so. Rock doesn't conduct electricity well. Explosives? Pretty much. No. Sweet revenge. That's half of him. Two left. But a full bar can't even take him out, so... use his own weapon against him. And last but not least... what is your weakness then? Ah, gotcha. I lost the track. You know, for situations like this, a Yoshishi would probably suffice better. Or just have an object center. Alright, time for Rangda Bangda's cousin. Zero gets the easy version of this, at least for the chin. Pretty much the bottom part is very easy. Like, laughably so. Regardless of which character you're playing as. Let's put him out of his misery. Okay, I can't shoot through there, so I have to use weapons. Victory. I mean, this would work as a fortress boss, but it's even easier than Vile, I gotta say. Or Yellow Devil without weakness. Alright. Territory play score 12. 4. We're gonna fight Sigma now. Ow. Revenge of the mid-boss bots. If I took the right route, I would have gotten the better thing. Oh well. You win some, you lose some. Okay, Sigma, let's rumble. I'm curious about something. Will this also pierce high frames? No. As hilarious as it would be, it doesn't. We don't really have the Velginder Sigma here. Velgarder. So instead we have this. Oh no. This presents a problem. No, I'm gonna use this. Be gone, Sigma. Hey, at least the second phase was legitimately a bit challenging. Especially with the more enclosed arena, because now I can't just make use of my patented just wall kick. Alright, one last thing, the special stage. 27 plays score 6, then my overall toss in this pack. Which I've already said at the midway through the Maverick stages and at the end of Maverick stages. What I said there still applies here. I was hoping that this would become a little bit more enjoyable in the Fortress stage, but as some packs do become a lot more noticeably more enjoyable during the Fortresses or Palaces, but this sadly didn't. Hopefully also in the future, Team Red adds more of the ex-Maverick bots to the roster. I couldn't even make... For some reason that didn't quite work, and that reason is because I screwed up the jump. Pure and simple. I may blame the game for a lot of things. I should also be fair when blaming it. So the special stage is basically like a hard bonus. Main control center. Now that we blew up the core, this whole place is gonna go kaboom very soon. Oh no. Welp. Yeah, I need the bottom one, otherwise I can't reach. And I can't damage boost easily. Unfortunately, this Moliere is causing some issues. There. Really? Yeah, I didn't use the right weapon. I should be using explosives instead. Doesn't do it quite the correct job. Oh. I just want the bottom one. Thank you. We'll be fine without it. I hope. Maybe it wasn't the best idea to bring out Zero for this. Zero will be probably the best for the boss at the end, but for the stage, projectiles rule the roost. It's a good thing I can also cancel my the damage knockback early, if I time it right. Instead of being stunned for about 1.5 seconds. Ah, cool, we're in the icy area. That was every section in the stage so far is basically a harder version of a previous stage. It's not really recombining gimmicks as so far as being a gauntlet of the harder versions of those levels. Like that was a harder version of the Rock Tortoises level. This is from the ice stage. Oh no! Good. No better spikes waiting me down there. Because that's... if I were designing it, I'd probably do that. Okay, where is the door now? Bingo. What? Okay, that looked a bit awkward, placing it right next to another door. I mean, it would work if it was just a regular Mega Man Maker door, but here it just looks kind of funny. Honestly, I think this is one of the better designed and more enjoyable stages, if only because we're using the gimmicks again we've seen in previous stages, and it escalates on top of that. And it's an escalation of what we've seen from there. It builds off of what we've seen in those levels, both in the originals and the Fortress levels. And in some points, it's actually a noticeable challenge that I can't just easily bum rush through. Bum rush as in rush forwards with no regard to my safety. Speaking of not being able to bomb rush for safety, here comes Force Beamers. This could have been a lot more scary if we had to do it several times in a row. Like, keep wall kicking upwards, ascending where there's several force beams on the right. That's something Lepatio would do. I wish the level pack was more like this, because these actually pose some fun, somewhat interesting challenges. They're not quite climaxed here yet, but a lot of the stuff we're seeing in these stages, a lot of the stuff we're seeing in this stage for each of the sections that bring back stuff, they should have been in the actual stages themselves, in the originals. Excuse me. Goodbye. But that's just me. I don't mind having easier level packs, but at the very least they should be interesting. The stage being easy should not mean it's not interesting. At least to some degree. Is this section 5 or 6? Like, it should be... There should be about 8 or 9 sections, depending on whether the Fortress Palace counts as well. Also, the longest stage. This is the air stage. Tornado Sparrow, but in the night sky. Perfect. I think we made it. This was the last one. Why else would they give us all these refills? Rematch against Vile. Of course. What? Okay, you survived 1 HP this time. Now it's time for a vengeance. GG. If only we had the right armor version of Vile. Now, round 2. Oh, okay. Speaking of what I was talking about earlier, we have a Fortress boss rush. Hey, Sigma. It caused the game to crash. Okay. Must be an early access bug. Meanwhile, with Zero, this gets turned even into a bigger joke. To be frank, if you're gonna have a boss rush like this, instead of dropping a complete full pickup after each boss, maybe it should be large life pickups. I don't know. It's your call. Anyways, this was a special stage. The best stage in this pack. Overall, this was a thoroughly mediocre pack. I said this 2 times already, and I'll say for the last one. My issue here is that most of the stages are very forgettable. With the exception of Rock Tortoise and maybe perhaps Blaze Jackal and Water stage and the special stage, most of the stages do introduce mechanics or gimmicks, but they don't really iterate or expand or escalate on them, and this includes enemies as well, and then they end without having a satisfactory climax, if any. When I say climax or ending climax, I mean where everything we've learned in the stage, or almost all of it, is brought back together for a final section, to tie the stage in a satisfactory bow with it. Some stages got close to it, but most of them missed the mark. And the Fortress stages, even when they brought back gimmicks and combined them together, it wasn't really that interesting. The special stage was fun because each section took one or more sections from the original stages and basically acted as another escalation. That's why I said they should be in the original levels. Easy doesn't necessarily mean not interesting. Like, this is one of the easier packs, taking into account the greater mobility options, but I don't know. It didn't quite hit the mark for me. That being said, I hope all this feedback helps me become a better level designer, Top Secret. My first Mega Man-like levels were absolutely terrible, or terrible if you're gonna be nice. Perfect practice makes perfect, after all. What I would suggest doing next is try focusing for your levels. Try focusing on having a climax where everything is put together. That's the main thing I was sorely missing from most of these stages. And after that, you can work on better escalations, I suppose. But in any case, thank you for submitting your level pack to me. And thank you for doing something off the usual beaten path and actually making a level pack in one of the mods, towards the central mechanic. In any case, thanks for watching everyone, and have a good evening.